Welcome back to the channel and another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In today's show, we will be talking about Tottenham's 3-2 win against Frankfurt in the Champions League. Tottenham Hotspur are now top of Group D. First of all, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like and share. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And just to say a huge big thank you to listeners in South Korea, China and Taiwan. This podcast was the second most listened to football podcast in these countries last week. Now, I have three very special guests to talk about today's show. We have actor Ricky Norwood back with us. Rick, how are you?
I'm all right, my friend. I am okay. It's been a crazy week, but yeah, I'm having to be talking about the game tonight and the big 3 points. So come on, let's get into it.
A huge 3 points. We're glad to have you back, Rick. We've also got Craig Dearman back with us, of course, channel regular. Craig, how are you?
I'm all right, Chris. I'm all right. Not too bad. Spurs get a win. What's not to like?
Well, it's going to be smiles all round, I can tell. Certainly smiles with Gary Maloney back with us. Gary, how are you? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time, yeah. I mean, we didn't speak for at least 3 hours. You know me and my 10 voice notes today. I'm all right. I'm good. I'm glad we won. I mean, the last 20 minutes was nerve-wracking. I've bit my nails down, but typical Tottenham, we never make it easy, do we? So, yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it, mate. So let's go.
Gary, I quite like your. Sorry, because Gary, I quite like your voice notes when you're on the treadmill or something like that, because it sounds like a dirty, sounds like a dirty phone call.
I know it is. It's a bit of porn up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it because Heung-min Son, of course, hit a double tonight at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Champions League. A Harry Kane penalty, VAR drama, a penalty miss from Harry Kane, a red card in the game. But Spurs, as I said earlier, are top of Group D. And another lovely tribute for John Piero Ventroni this evening at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And, of course, former Spurs striker John Duncan, who sadly died last week. Ricky, let's start the show with you. Your thoughts on today's game? Because I tell you what, Spurs are top of Group D. You know, this is something to be happy about.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, we have, we've grown in each game. Since the last Frankfurt game, we had to have a bounce back after the Gooners. And even though it was a 0-0, it was a battle. It was a basketball game, back and forth. And we was unlucky not to win that first game. And then we've gone to Brighton and, after the passing of, Mr. Ventrone, it was an emotional day. It was a galvanizing day. It was a unifying day. And it was a energy sapping, draining game as well for the boys because they had to get over emotions as well to kind of win that game. And they done that. And then today to get the 3 points is amazing. And to be top of the group is amazing. After a long week for every single Tottenham fan and every single Tottenham person that's involved with the club, from top to bottom, it's been crazy. So to get the 3 points is the most important. But we still had these glaring kick ourselves up in the backside moments. This lethargical play, this slow, patient build up, these too many touches at the back. And when you're too casual, you can see the ball can bounce anywhere. And both goals came from poor touches when we was in possession. So that's definitely something we need to kind of look at and improve. And we woke up. I don't know why it took a goal against us to wake up, but we woke up. And from that point forward, it was the Tottenham that we're used to seeing. It's the Tottenham that we expect to see. It's not 100% right now, but the fact that we was playing with that pace, that tenacity, the passing, the interchanging. Sonny, his touch seemed to be back today. His determination seemed to be back today. He didn't seem to be second guessing himself today. With any one of his shots that he had, they were on target or troubling the keeper one way, shape or form. Harry again took the game by the scruff of the neck as well. To see them two to do what they done. Of course he missed the penalty at the end there. But to see what them two are doing right now, we're in a really exciting place where we've been waiting all season for this team to click. And I think it's just about to click, fingers crossed. So yeah, big night.
Craig, let's come to you. Were you happy with today's performance?
On the whole, I think Glenn Hoddle summarised it quite well on BT Sport. First 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes were appalling from the Spurs point of view, but the middle 70 was very good. As Ricky said, as usual, it took something to happen or a goal against us for us to come alive, which is really frustrating. You want to see us like that from the off, because when we did click into gear, to be honest, I don't think this is overplaying. I think we could actually give anyone a game on the day and rip anyone apart when we hit that fifth gear, and we did at certain points during the game today. But lessons to learn still. That opening 10 minutes and certainly the closing 10 minutes. All right, you miss penalties, and you can't blame Harry for missing a penalty. Christ, how many has he scored? But to be honest, I think today was one of those rare occasions where a side going down to 10 men didn't help us. It kind of helped them. They looked better with 10 men, oddly enough. So I think we took our foot off the gas, definitely. Thought the game was won. I know it's a cliche, but I think that, and look at the substitution. Conte thought it was one as well. And we just took our foot off the gas, and it just goes to prove you can't go to sleep at all in these top competitions. And we was lucky to get away with it. I mean, Lloris made a good save at the end there, but lessons to learn from tonight, because one more win and we're through the next round. So it's not all bad at all, but there's still some points tonight that squeaky bum time towards the end there. But as I say, one more win and we're through.
Gary, your thoughts on tonight's match?
Yeah, I mean, like what both the guys said, I enjoyed it. It was a good game, but it was just frustrating. The first 10 minutes and the last 10, 15 minutes, it's just typical Tottenham. I mean, both goals, both mistakes. Eric Dyer.
You say that, typical Tottenham. Now, the Tottenham of old, it would be like that we would have lost or drawn the game. But under Antonio Conte, we always grinding these results out.
Typical Tottenham is never making it easy. That's typical Tottenham. And that's what typical Tottenham were today. We're a lot of typicals, but that's one of them. And we could have quite comfortably won that game 5-6, 7-1. But, Royale's got to be Royale and Dyer's got to be Dyer. And listen, I'll praise Son. I'll praise Kane. Kane missed the penalty. I couldn't care less. He scores 99.9% of them. But typical Tottenham making an easy game where we're cruising difficult with big mistakes. And also, I think Conte has to take a little bit of responsibility, because I think he probably thought the game was easy and it was won, and it should have been with 10 men. But as a lot of us well know, sometimes when a team goes down to 10 men, they play better. I've seen it on many occasions, but both those goals could have been avoided. Both mistakes by players that are known for mistakes. So, for me, great game. We've got the 3 points. We're top of the table. Happy days. But you end the game not really happy. You're a bit, annoyed and frustrated because Royale was Royale and Dyer was Dyer. So, and it's typical Tottenham, Chris. It is, unfortunately. When do we ever make things easy? Even against Brighton, we should have won that 2 or 3. And you're just waiting for the final whistle. It's just, I laugh because, look, I love this club, but they never, ever make anything easy. It's just, it's a hard watch, that last 10 minutes. But, we did it. And I can't remember when, but Lloris pulled off an amazing save. Was it like 60, 65 minutes in? But, wow, what a save. And also, one thing I want to add, because I think it might get lost with Son tonight. I thought Højbjerg had a fucking great game. Højbjerg was amazing tonight for me. I really, for me, he was man of the match. I thought he was brilliant, Højbjerg.
Do you know what, Gary? I'll probably get pelters for this, but Højbjerg, for me, has been one of our best players all season.
Yeah, he was brilliant tonight, honestly.
And
so,
another assist as well.
Yeah, assist. I mean, great cross, the way he dinked that in and stuff, but just everything, his passing, his midfield, the way he just took it by scruff of the neck. I thought Højbjerg was brilliant, really impressed. And I thought that in the last few games, he's had some real good moves. I don't know if you remember that in the last game where he done that little flick and he turned the player, studs on the ball, and was like, boom, boom. And I looked and I thought, was that Son or Kane? But it weren't, it was Højbjerg. And I was like, he's really improved. He's gone up a level, wasn't he? Like, amazing. Yeah. I thought it was really, really good. Really good. But I'm pleased. I'm happy. As long as we win, I'm always happy. But I just think that game could have been a lot easier. That's all. So,
Rick, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting lineup. I actually spoke to Gary before the game, and I said Emerson Royal, without any question or doubt, he will start tonight. And Gary was like, "No, surely not. Jed Spence will perhaps be given the start. Emerson Royal will be in the starting 11."
You were right.
He's in the starting 11. Let's go through the starting 11. Considering in goal, the back three of Romero, Dyer, and Lenglet. The wing backs, Emerson Royal and Ryan Sessegnon. In midfield, Bentancur and Højbjerg. The forward three of Richarlison, Son, and Kane. Subs tonight: Forster, Spence, Doherty, Sanchez, Davis, Perisic, Skip, White, Sarr, Basuma, Brian Hill, and Lucas Moura. Rick, were you surprised by that lineup? Because of course Antonio Conte made 3 changes: Royal in for Doherty, Lenglet in for Davis, and Richarlison in for Basuma.
Yeah, a couple of surprises. Yeah, I mean, Emerson, I don't know. It was 50-50. I think you were saying in the last pods that Emerson was going to start as well. And I was kind of like, yeah, he probably is. Even if it's just for a rotation purposes. You know, Doherty's just come back. And even though he was rusty, and, you know, I'm not his biggest fan. But when he does well, I'll say he does well. And he looked a lot more natural fit against Brighton, and you would have thought that he would have got some time tonight. But let's see. He's probably saving him because he's just come back in, and Doherty will be playing on the weekend against Everton. Lenglet, I was kind of like, I kind of guessed that one. The rotation between him and Davies right now is working well. I think he seems solid. He wasn't in trouble too many times. Positional play was pretty good. Passing, again, he's growing into it. He's growing into the shirt at Spurs right now. And Richarlison, another start from Richarlison. Supposedly he came off with a knock. Something to do with his knee, Conte was saying in his post press
didn't see that.
Press conference. Yeah. So he's saying, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's nothing serious. But they're kind of happy that Kulusevski's coming back into the team as well. He should be ready for Everton. So So it's part of this. It's exactly what Conte was telling us, boys. You know, about this rotation and about using this rotation. And I'm happy that they're using it. I'm happy that we're getting these boys that were brought in and they're playing. You know, I think the biggest change today was when we brought on the subs. The pace totally changed, especially in the middle of the park. Skippy looked a little bit better, but Basuma didn't look that he didn't come in and impact the game the way that I think he wanted to. And I think, like I said in the last show, I think he's questioning himself. Instead of playing his natural game, he's trying to do now everything that he's been asked to do, that Conte is asking him to do, and he just it hasn't like sunk in his body yet. So he's doing it automatically. He's still thinking about it, and I think that almost takes him like half a second off sometimes. But yeah, I mean, another reason why you can see those that were not complaining, but highlighting the fact that Basuma hasn't got a start or Skippy hasn't come back in since he's been fit. You kind of saw tonight why Højbjerg and Bentancur are the number 1, number 2 starts on the sheet. They're the first team players, first names on the sheet for the first team when they're playing, because they're both trusted, and you can see not only the work rate but the technique, the fact that they can trust each other, they know how each other play, how each other run, and Skippy and Basuma don't know that as yet. I think another highlight tonight was that not only did Lucas come on for his first minutes, but Brian Hill. I thought he was a nuisance tonight. I like Brian Hill. Listen, I think that something's clicked inside of him where he's like, I'm going to try and do the best that I can do in these moments. Do you know what I mean? And the way that he was kind of darting backwards and forwards, and when he came on and lost the ball, and I was like, here we go again. But then straight away he was up and he was bright and he was alert to receive that back heel mistake from the Frankfurt player, and then run into the box, dart him. The defender didn't know what to do. The only thing that he could do, Yeah, it was, and that's the genius of Hill, and that's where that player could, it's only a flash right now, but if he can keep doing the things that he was doing, the fact that he wanted to ride the challenges and he wanted to keep moving forward, it was good to see. And I think, all right, it was only 10 minutes that he was on the field or whatever the case may be, but I think there's an exciting time. There's a potential. There was a hint of what this boy could become. The fact that he bamboozled the defense and got the foul and got the penalty right at the end there, and he found space as well. How many times was he in space? And that ball from Harry that was just a bit too fast. If Harry would have played him first time, he would have been in tonight, and he would have scored the fourth. So I think he was the highlights of the subs. But you can see how the pace changed. And how we, Conte keeps saying he doesn't want to drop the level. Well, the level dropped when Basuma and Skip came on tonight, which was, like I say, Skip done a little bit better, but the pace and the level did drop. So I think we've got to watch that, and we got to bleed them in and try and give them a bit more time to actually not just do the things that they're taught on training, but to do it in game at a time where it's vital.
Brick, can I ask you quickly? Gary criticised Eric Dyer. Stephen, I don't think likes Gary's comment and says here Dyer was Dyer. He is a rock. What would you say about Eric Dyer's performance tonight?
I kind of agree with Stephen, to tell you the truth. I think he has been fantastic for a long time, and there might be a little mistake in there, but it's not the same as when he first started in defence under Mourinho and stuff. I think there was a lot more mistakes at that point, and you've seen him grow, and I think you've seen him grow even more with a manager like Conte. And I think the mistake came from lackadaisicalness. He thought everything was in control. He thought he could just take it one time, and what happened was that there was a bounce either on the pitch or when it actually touched the boot, it hit the wrong part of the boot that he thought it was going to hit. So it just bounced the wrong way, and then straight away we was in trouble. But that's why we have to stay on it. Once you're switched on and once you're on it and once you're playing that fast football, like once we conceded that goal, it was a different Eric Dyer again. He had another mistake just afterwards, but he was like, all right, and cool, and he wiped it away, and he was like, bang on again. And you saw the difference when he went off. If you got any kind of confusion with Eric Dyer, when he went off, when Romero went into the center and Sanchez came on, we looked different again. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a different look in Tottenham again. The level dropped just a little bit. So you can see how important he is. I can allow him that one mistake. Do you know what I mean? Even though the goal was conceded.
I just come in because I think Stephen's getting the wrong end of the stick, because what I'm saying is Eric Dyer made a mistake. Royal made a mistake. You can't take that back. They made mistakes. But what I will say is after that, Eric Dyer picked up his head, carried on and had a good game. But he still made a mistake, and so did Royal. So when they make mistakes, I'm going to call them out on it. But Eric Dyer had a much, much better game than what Royal did. Just to clear it up for Stephen.
Yeah. But I think
the other thing is, my boy was saying to me, I think that was Romero's pass. And I went, no, that wasn't Romero's pass. That was Eric Dyer's touch. I don't think Romero can take any responsibility for that. I think that was just a mistake by Eric Dyer. But he rectified it. He was good. He was good.
We'll talk about the incident in a minute. Let's go to another comment from Stephen. Positives: win, Son, Brian Hill, Mora and Skip get game time. Beat Lisbon and we're in. Should have closed before subs. Royal out against Everton. Craig, let's come to you on the same question. That starting 11, Antonio Conte made 3 changes from the Brighton game. Any surprises in there for you?
I would say sadly not, because I was hoping Royal was not going to be playing, but he was. And if you're what Gary point there about about Dyer being better than Royal, you're not really setting the bar that high when you have to be better.
Yeah, but he was better though, wasn't he?
He was better. Yeah. Personally, I thought Dyer was quite solid. Other than the mistake, but you're right, he did make the error, but I think he did have a solid game. And on the yellow card, of course, so that's not easy for a centre back to be on the yellow card for that amount of time. Stupid yellow card, but it is what it is. I do try and not slag off players on here really, but I've just had it with Emerson Royal really personally. I do feel for him a bit because he's a right back. He's not a right wing back. He will never be a right wing back as long as you live. And for me, he's just we're kind of not playing with 10 men. That would be unfair. But I've said it on here many times. How many times I've said it? You're losing 50% of your attacking force, if you like, because it leaves Sessegnon to bomb up and down. But Royal just can't do it. How many times do you get in really good positions and balls to cross up, or just all right, we won a corner from it? But it's those levels, you know.
Yeah.
And what is Jed Spence doing? Is he knocking off Conte's misses or something? Why is he not? Why is he not getting a game? I still don't get it. Give him 10 minutes at the end. I just don't get it.
I do want to get this podcast to number one in some of these countries.
If you want to get this to number one, you definitely shouldn't have me on it.
Yeah, obviously.
I might have to kick Gary and Craig off.
Definitely.
I'll just talk to the positive one.
Yeah.
I do say that in jest, obviously, but you know what I mean. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. I mean, Conte said here, he said we scored 3 times and Trapp, their keeper, was the best player. That is a positive aspect from the game. The negative aspect is the final part, and it has to be a big lesson for everybody. For me, the game finishes when the referee whistles 3 times. So basically, what he's saying there is you go to the end, isn't it? And we didn't tonight. We stopped playing after 80 minutes. You can't disagree with what he said there.
What about you, Gary? Any surprise in the starting 11? I did tell you that Emerson Royal would play.
I didn't think he would, if I'm honest with you, and I really wish he didn't. But do you know what? I think he did do one good cross though, because I think Romero nearly scored from it, didn't he? I think he got one good crossing and Romero done a header. I think that was almost a goal. So he did do that. But yeah, again, I'm like Craig, I don't really want to single out players, but he's just very frustrating to watch. And bless him, I know he spent £1 million odd, trying to improve and everything else. And, I get that. I know he's trying, but there's a difference between trying, like what Ricky said, when Gil came on, just naturally he looks more gifted player. He's just kind of got that movement and stuff. He just doesn't have it, Royal. He just really doesn't have that movement. He can't take players on. It's
what about if he spends another $1 million?
I think you're gonna need to spend about 50, 60 million, I think, to be honest. But I just look, I don't know. I don't know what to say about him. I think he just needs to be out of the team. But again, it's about rotation and stuff, isn't it? At the end of the day, Doherty, I think, is a better player than him. But you're talking a game every 3 days and stuff. It's difficult, isn't it? But he's not doing himself any favours. I mean, if he didn't make that mistake near the end, then we would have probably said he had an okay game. But he goes and does that, and then the spotlight's on him again, So it's not really doing himself any favours. So it's a difficult one, unfortunately. But I just don't think he's good enough, unfortunately. But what can you do?
Roy Price writes on screen now. I also thought the subs spoiled our momentum tonight. Højbjerg was outstanding. Heung-min, Son and Song, 3 points in the bag and top of the group. Come on, you Spurs. Roy, I'd love to have you on the channel one day. I know we spoke about it, so hopefully we'll make this happen in the near future. Rick, I just want to talk a little bit about Heung-min Son before we get into the game incidents. Heung-min Son, he never seems to just score a tap-in, does he? Fantastic goals again from him tonight.
Wow. Beautiful goals from him tonight. I mean, like I was saying earlier, that was Sonny back to his best. But just the way he was running, I'm not even. Well, I'll get to his goals, but just the way that he was running again with that. It's like it's viciousness. It's dangerous. It's just his sharpness and his movement can confuse defenders, and I felt that he was making the runs at the right time. I think that his touch when it came off of his chest or his body, it was controlled like Sonny normally controls it. When he went in on goal, I didn't doubt him. I don't doubt Sonny. I just knew it was going to be a period of time. But it's so beautiful to see him playing like that with a smile on his face, and I think. I think this week it has been emotional, but I think it's put the fire in them. And there was a fire in the boys today, and I think they recaptured that fire, and hopefully it's going to turn into a massive kind of like tornado of fire. As we keep moving forward. But like Sonny, beautiful. I mean, the first goal. The first goal was just the way that he was running again, like the way that he opened his body and just kind of rolled it in. But that second goal, oh my gosh, that second goal was like a FIFA goal, or that was it was, I don't know, man. It's just one of those that you would normally see on the highlights of like a World Cup show. You know, when they're showing like the greatest goals and you see like a Cruyff or like, you know, like, I don't know, man.
I think 99% of the time they just go over the bar, didn't they?
Yeah.
They just go up in like row 50 or 150. I was amazed by that. Amazing it was.
But again, like what Glenn Hoddle was saying it in commentary, that the fact that he kind of slowed down the pacing of it, the fact that he kind of had to step back before he struck it as well, and then the strike on it, like. Oh my gosh! Confused the keeper. The keeper couldn't do nothing. Like Sonny is back, people. If you was ever doubting Sonny, let me just tell you right now. Sonny is back.
Gutted he didn't get a hat trick in it. I bet it was all praying he got his hat trick in it.
Yeah.
Almost.
That close. Yeah. He had the opportunities.
Yeah.
Craig, people were saying in the last few weeks that Heung-min Son had lost his confidence. What do you make of that? Because of course he come back in the Leicester game, got the hat trick. You know, we could talk about he could have had a hat trick tonight. He had a number of chances, but the goals that Heung-min Son seems to score, they're always top notch, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Do you know what? You probably did lose a little bit of confidence when you don't score. We've said it before. You know, as a striker, that you see that as your job, and you know when the goals don't come, you're going to feel a bit of pressure. But perfect there. The comment on the screen, class is permanent and it never goes away. And I think we all knew that he was going to get back to his best. And tonight, like you said, Ricky, that volley, I mean, anybody who's played the game will tell you how difficult that is. And with his weaker foot as well, it's just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And you kind of run out of superlatives to describe Sonny, the goals he scored. They all do seem fantastic in their own sort of special way, don't they? He rarely gets a tap in, but we're lucky to have him at the club.
Gary, do you want to add anything about Sonny?
Yeah, I just would like to say, for me, I think it was probably one of my favourite goals from Sonny, actually, you know, because there's been some amazing goals. I love the curler against Arsenal the other season, the one against Burnley, you know, from our own half. There's been some amazing goals, but just the audacity. Chelsea one, amazing, but the audacity.
Can you ever remember Heung-min Son just scoring a tap in?
Not really. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. But for me, what I loved about that whole build-up and stuff was again Højbjerg. I have to say, brilliant. Yeah, his little close control and the way he just flighted that ball, just slowly flighted up. And when I saw it come down, you know yourself, a majority of players, 9 times out of 10. When that ball comes slowly floating like that, they lean back and it just goes up in the terraces. To have that technique, to take the time, and also Sessegnon to run and make the space, which was amazing as well. Don't forget that. But just for me, I think that was probably one of my favourite goals from Son, you know. I jumped up and was going absolutely mental and I just could not believe. And when you watch it back, when you see a great goal like that and you watch it back over and over in slow motion, it looks even better. For me, it's one of my favourite goals from Son, you know. I loved it. I was buzzing. Yes. It was great.
Let's come to you. Let's talk about the game incident. After 3 minutes, Frankfurt had a cross put in. Striker couldn't connect properly. And then after 14 minutes, Frankfurt took the lead. What did you make of the goal that we conceded? Because, of course, I know Gary's already said it was Eric Dyer's mistake. Do you think that Hugo Lloris could have perhaps done a little bit better there?
You know what? I thought even Lloris was about it today, and I think he tried. But it was a poor touch, and then there was confusion happening everywhere. Great touch by the German player Roda as well in midfield to not take the shot straight away, but just kind of dink it over to the left again, and it was a goal. It was a poor touch, and it's this lackadaisical play that ends up happening. This kind of possession, patient play. It ends up becoming, it just becomes slow. And when we play best is when we're urgent, is when we're on it, is when we're trying to press forward, is when we're attacking from every avenue, when we're giving them loads to think about.
When we go behind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
it's crazy.
Once we go behind, we're not protecting anything anymore. Do you know what I mean? This whole protect the clean sheet, I think we're going about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, we need to go for them and have periods of time where we pass back. If you look at the amount of touches that Lloris had from pass backs at the Brighton game compared to tonight, there was a lot less. Do you know what I mean? Tonight, and because we were playing more forward, we were, and I'm talking about like the defenders pass it to Lloris. Lloris will then pass it to Davies. Davies will then, you know, pass it up the wing or whatever the case. I'm talking about those type of passes. There was way too many, and there has been way too many. And it invites pressure, it invites goals, it invites them to press us with pace. And where we've been lackadaisical, we're on the back foot. Because it's like a boxer being on his heels. Do you know what I mean? Like, or on his toes. Do you know what I mean? If you're bouncing, not, but do you know what I mean? Like, if you're bouncing and you're on your toes, then you're ready for whatever's coming to you. If you're flat-footed, then you get clocked in the face. And I think that's what happens to our defense sometimes.
They always sit back. They sit back. It's weird.
No, we need to use that as an outlet, not as a solution. Do you know what I mean? So when we are in trouble, or when we are pressed in midfield, all right, pass it back, find the space, get it out to the wings and get it up the field again. And keep the ball moving forward as many times. We can't be passing it back all the time. Because how many times have we seen repeatedly at this season that somebody's nicked it off of us, or there's been a bad pass, or we've passed to the player who's got opposition players surrounding him. Therefore, he's got nowhere to go apart from give it to the opposition. Do you know what I mean? Or we try and pass through the opposition when they're standing right in front of us. You know, so they become stupidness like that. And I think the quicker we get through the gears, the quicker we play on the front foot, the quicker we can push that back line up the field, the better we are. You know, we play better with pace.
Before Heung-min Son equalised to make it 1-1, Harry Kane had a free kick outside the box, and I knew that this would be a talk. I knew this would be a talking point again on this podcast this evening. But gladly, you know, he missed that free kick, and then of course after it, Eric Dyer had one, and Heung-min Son had the rest. Craig, are you still surprised that Harry Kane is over these free kicks?
No, because I think it was Conte had said, because somebody asked him about it in a press conference, and he said, I think he name checked Dyer, Son, and Harry Kane. So really, no, I'm probably not, to be honest. I mean, Harry Kane strikes a lovely ball, doesn't he? And obviously, there's some mental block with free kicks. We've all said we don't get it. Why is he even in the frame to take it? But it's probably because we know what a good striker of the ball he is, you know. So I haven't got any other explanation for it than that, to be honest. But yeah, you'd think they would do practice, you know, be doing practicing free kicks and that in training, wouldn't they? They must be. All sides do it. So
he must be banging them in training.
Exactly. It must be happening, because if he was doing that in training every time he took a free kick, then Conte would say to him, you know, sorry, Harry, you're our best player, but you're not on free kicks, and it's got to be somebody else. And you know, I thought Dyer's effort was quite unlucky, actually. Hit the wall, didn't it? But yeah. So you know, perhaps he's got to pull rank there a little bit.
Craig, do you want to talk us through Tottenham's first goal? Of course, Heung-min Son finished it off. Harry Kane with a lovely through ball for Heung-min Son. Sonny didn't even really celebrate, did he? It was all about just getting back, kicking off, and starting the game again. Yeah.
It was a great move, actually, back to front. Harry does what Harry does, and when you actually watch it back from a different angle, you can see the whole pitch. It's amazing. It's almost telepathic, that relationship they've got. Sonny knew. Sonny was on his bike as soon as the ball was coming into Harry's feet. He was on his bike, so he knew exactly where Harry was going to play it and when he was going to play it. And I think a couple of touches and slotted it to the keeper's left, and fantastic finish. Lovely touch for him to. I think he took his armband off and looked to the skies for Jean-Pierre Ventrone. So it was great to see. But you're right, just get back on with the game and get another goal. We was back in the game then, started off slow, and obviously led to us going 2 and then 3-1 up. So it was a really good bounce back by Tottenham. I just wish we'd started like that from the start. But really, really touching to see. And the little the wreath on Ventroni's seat and the jacket. I know we touched on it earlier, but it does bring a little bit of a lump to your throat, you know. So seeing that, he was obviously well loved at the club. So yeah, it's I think safe to say that we send his family and everybody that knew him best wishes, because he was a very special man by the sound of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Gary, let's come to you. Just 5 or 6 minutes later, Harry Kane went over in the box. The referee was adamant, no penalty. Then, of course, VAR, the referee went over to the screen, had a look at it, had a long look at it, then pointed to the spot. What did you make of that incident? Was it so clear-cut at home?
I think it was a penalty for me, but I think he was fawning Harry Kane, so his momentum, he was kind of falling a little bit. So I can kind of see why in real time the ref didn't give it. But once, you know, I was saying it's a penalty, but I'm a Spurs fan, right? But as soon as VAR say go over and look at the screen, then you pretty much know you're getting a penalty, didn't you? So for me, I think it was probably 75% a penalty, because the only reason why I say not 100% full on was because Harry Kane was kind of losing his footing as he was running in. And he's very good at getting penalties, Harry Kane. But listen, I'll take it all day long. But I always knew it would be overturned. I knew he'd change his mind as soon as he went to the TV, because very rarely, I think it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times, refs will stick with their on-field decision and change it. They don't tend to. So do you know what I mean? So I thought, yeah, VAR said, go and have a look, mate. So he's going to go with VAR, and that's what he did. And a great penalty. I know he missed the second one, but you know what a great penalty at the end of the day. And we've had this conversation before about Harry Kane. I mean, look, free kicks. I don't know what's happening in training. I mean, he must be doing amazing free kicks, and Royal must be like going through 10 players and doing the best crosses known to man, because God knows why he's on free kicks and Royal's down the wing. I don't know, but for me, yeah, a penalty, but a stonewall penalty? No, I wouldn't say not a stonewall penalty. My opinion. I don't know what all the other guys think.
No, he bought it a little bit. He was clever.
Yeah,
he was clever.
I wouldn't say we were lucky to get it, but I don't think it was a 100% penalty. If that makes sense, that's that. You know. So,
what did you make of the penalty incident, Rick?
It was a penalty, bro. 100% penalty. I'm telling you, mate. What are you talking about? It was a penalty, mate. He checked him. His body checked him with his hip. I don't know what the question's about. It was a 100% penalty. No question. No question.
That's why we got Ricky at VAR. You see.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, just 3 minutes later, Frankfurt had a shot. Lloris tipped it over the bar. 4 minutes later, Heung-min Son had a shot after a run comfortable with the goalkeeper. And then in the 36th minute, Heung-min Son got his second goal, made it 3-1. Left Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, great work from him and a great cross from him. And as you guys have already said, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has really upped his game this season. It's been absolutely brilliant. But I know we've already spoken about Heung-min Son, Rick, but what a finish from Heung-min Son for that third goal.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Sonny, his highlight package is phenomenal. And people would think you'd be taking it out of context and just like picking certain goals to kind of put in his best goal. But his highlight package is ridiculous. I'm so happy for Sonny, because he went out there, I think because of the passing of Ventrone as well. I think I don't know what it's done to the boys, but you just saw a different look in their eye tonight, and especially the disappointment. Not so much like dropping their heads with disappointment after they conceded the goal, but the disappointment in what did we just allow that to happen, and then that determination to go, let's correct this, as quick as we can. And who's the one that normally always steps up in an important game in a pressurized scenario, when there's no one else to look to? Sonny, and he was back tonight, and with him in the side and in that form and in that vein of confidence as well, it's going to be 100% be a goal. But oh my God, it's just the way he struck it. When it hit the back of the net, it hit the back of the net with baseline. You couldn't help but jump up at that point. Even if you was half asleep, had a bad day at work or whatever, and we just watching the game for 1 night, And as soon as he's hit, you have to get up. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's beautiful about Sonny and having Sonny at the club and wearing a cockerel on his shirt is that he's just not only is he a beautiful goal scorer, but he's a beautiful footballer and he's a beautiful person, man. Like long may Sonny shine and smile. Do you know what I mean? And because if he's smiling, we're all having a good time.
It's very difficult to choose like your favourite Heung-min Son goal, isn't it? Because there are so many good ones. Rick, do you have any favourites, Rick?
Oh, I love the Chelsea one. The fact that he destroyed Chelsea, and you know what? They done a mock up of him being Sonic, like collecting rings around the Chelsea players, and then he's got, and I just love it to pieces. But it's the fact that it's not just the goal, Chris. It's like the link up play as well. Like you're saying, Kane's, for the first goal, slid that ball through. They're finding each other again. They were trying, and it just wasn't clicking. And we can see that the click is about to like drop in. Do you know what I mean? So there's going to be many more beautiful goals to come.
Yeah. Well, Højbjerg with the assist, as you rightly said, Rick, earlier. Craig, let's come to you because I feel that, certainly last season, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg got a lot of stick from the Spurs fans. And I feel that this season, his performances have been fantastic. And he seems to be a lot more creative this season.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually, it surprised me at first, but when you actually watch him play for Denmark in the summer, I watched a few of the Denmark games, and he's actually a bit more forward thinking in that Denmark team, a bit more creative. So it hasn't, he's obviously got it in the locker, so to speak. But as Rick called him, I think before in the past, he's called him the general or something, wasn't it, Rick? You've referred to him as. But he is kind of in the engine room, and that partnership he struck up with Bentancur is just phenomenal, isn't it? And you could actually see tonight. I thought what actually made a difference was when Bentancur went off. You could see how disappointed he was to go off, but I think that kind of took something out of the team tonight. When he took him off, I can see why he did it, just to give him a few minutes rest. But it did change the whole dynamic of the team when you mess around with that midfield. And Skip was busy running around, and as Gary said, Bissouma just wasn't really up to it tonight. But yeah, Højbjerg has started the season really, really well, and he seems to be the player that kind of is that on-field motivator, the on-field captain, if you like. So yeah, he's had some really good games lately, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
Gary, have you got any good things to say about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg? Because he really does seem to have upped his game this season.
Mate, loads, honestly. I did not stop singing his praises tonight. Honestly, in the last few games, it's just like his whole reading of the game, his passing, his movement, his crossing. I love him. He's been brilliant. And I think some of it, he played a lot of games last season and stuff. And I think it would be fair to say he's probably a little bit burnt out. But it's like his technical ability has gone up a few steps. Yeah. Honestly, I'm really seeing a different side to Højbjerg, and I love it. I mean, I think the confidence to do that trickery, how he got through them, to then get down the corner line. But I think it would be very easy in that situation if it was Royal to just whack a ball in, to have the technique to then just do that slow little dink crossover and float the ball over. It takes time and it takes technique, and you need to think about what you're going to do. Because the easiest thing to do in that situation is just whip one in quick. What he actually done with that, to line that up for Son, I mean, look, it wasn't easy for Son by any accounts. We know that. But what a great ball to give Son the opportunity to score, which ain't going to be far off one of the goals of the season. So, but I really loved Højbjerg. He's a favourite in this house anyway. My missus loves him, so she was happy. So, really good. Pleased with him. Really pleased.
A Chelsea fan as well, we might add.
Yeah, and can I just say, when we talk about Chelsea fans, and what Ricky said about Son goal, we've all spoke about it. I think it's a good goal because tonight I got a WhatsApp from Tottenham fans. I got WhatsApps from Chelsea fans, from an Arsenal fan and a Sunderland fan, and a QPR fan actually, all about Son's goal. Now, when you're getting messages from rival football clubs and stuff like that, and from just fans of different teams about one of your players scoring a goal, it's a good goal. You know, when they take that time, they're watching that game and they take that time and think, you know, and then Chris, I know you get millions of messages, but when they take that time to say, right, I'm going to message Chris, I'm going to message Ricky, I'm going to message Craig because that's a great goal. That speaks volumes, you know. To me, it does. I think, wow. And favourite goals, I'm putting that at the top for me. I think you said Chelsea, but it was Burnley, Ricky. But we don't mind about.
No,
that.
wait, no. There was one against Chelsea as well. I wasn't.
That was Wembley.
The Wembley one. So you did mean that one then?
I did mean that. I did mean that one.
It wasn't like a Watford thing. You weren't confused and stuff.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't confused. I knew which goal it was.
Right, good. I'm glad I said that because then you can put it straight. That's good.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
But you know what? Let me just add a little something to the Højbjerg discussion here.
Yes.
You know, he was the only. Even when them two players came on, Basuna and Skip, he was still the one running from box to box. He was
agreed.
He was overlapping them, in the defensive box and the offensive box. And I don't know whether the Spurs fans have seen the Spurs play thing about mentality. Sitting there having a conversation with Smithy, Lloris, and it's Højbjerg, and they're asking him about the mentality and they're asking him about winning and stuff like that. If you haven't seen it, check out the clip on YouTube.
It's brilliant.
Even just a clip is fantastic. But he speaks about the suffering and how success is only this big and the rest of it is suffering and the things that you've got to go through to get to the top, to have that one short moment and then go again, you know. And what that says to me as well is that, like, he never rests. So you know, I've been defending Højbjerg, even he was getting criticism this season, and he's put in more assists this season. I think he scored 2 goals already this season. Yeah, 2 goals, I think. Yeah. Not only is he box to box, but like you said, that technical ability, he's taking it up. And I think it's all to do with that mentality. And I would prefer him in the midfield than a Pogba, than an Ndombele. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, then some of the people that would pay stupid money for. The fact that he's got that mentality, the heart, the determination, he's always being run into the ground and he's always there to be counted. And I love him for that. And long may that growth continue, man.
Yeah.
How can any player not improve under Antonio Conte though? You know, it's crazy, isn't it? You've got to improve under this world-class manager.
Yeah, I was about to say it's gonna happen. I said the other day, Gary. I don't know whether you listened to one of the last podcasts. He tried to take a man on, and that is that's progress.
Yeah, it's progress. Yeah, no, I hear you. No, it's definitely progress. Yeah, definitely. You're right.
We won't get into that, and it is a joke, by the way. So please don't give me pelters for that one.
No,
Craig, let's come to you. In the 42nd minute, Heung-min Son very nearly scored his hat trick, but of course the goalkeeper saved it with his feet. And then just 3 minutes later, and I'm so sorry to bring in Emerson Royal's name again, but it was frustrating because Emerson Royal, he could have given a simple pass to Harry Kane. He was outright. He could have played it early. Harry Kane would have then had a tap in. He was just slow to react, slow to put the cross in. And then, of course, it was eventually blocked. This is what people are frustrated by, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think that lack of first-time pass actually rubbed off on Kane later on for his pass to Brian Hill. Because I think he was thinking, you know, it was very similar. But it is. How long have we been saying it on here that, you know, look, we've all had things to say about Emerson Royal, and his ears must burn like you wouldn't believe. And it's nothing personal, but he's not a right wing back, and he never will be a right wing back. And
Craig,
you know, he's trying. But
do you see any improvements in him?
From when? Last week.
Serious question to all of you.
Yes.
Do you see, under Antonio Conte, since Conte came in November, do you see improvements from then until now?
No, not really. No,
tiny.
I don't think there has been. His crossing hasn't got any better. His play on the ball hasn't got any better. He doesn't take players on anymore. So
he did once.
I would say I don't think he's improved at all. If I'm honest with you, no, I don't think he has. He ain't.
I was asked a question and I answered it. Right? Jesus.
It's because you keep getting Royale, that's why.
Yeah.
I keep getting the right. I've been set up. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be on. No, I'm going to be honest about it. Chris asked me a question on Royal, and I've given my opinion on it. And I don't think he's a very good right wing back, and that is true. So,
fair enough. I agree.
It is what it is. I would like to hear this lady or gentleman's opinion on if Royal should be in the team and why. So that would be interesting. Yeah. But over somebody else.
Yeah.
move on.
Gary, this comes to you. In stoppage time at the end of the first half, Romero header, goalkeeper save. Unlucky not to be 4-1 up.
No, but that was a cross from Royal, wasn't it? It was, wasn't it?
Progress.
So there is a bit of progress there. So we're going to get off his. We're going to get off his back there because I said to my boy, I looked at him and I said, "Was that Royal that crossed that in?" And he went, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, fair play. That was a decent cross." So he did do that, but yeah, very unlucky. I thought Romero did everything right there. There's not much you could say about it. It was just the keeper did pull off some good saves. I mean, he done that. He did one with his feet against Son. He pulled off some good saves. Look, we're all sitting there and we all know, to be honest, another day we could have won that 5 or 6-1. It's just how it is. You need a bit of luck sometimes and stuff. But yeah, unlucky. I think if we'd have got that one, then we might have ran riot. But yeah, he did get that cross in. So progression.
Rick, at half time, Spurs 3, Frankfurt 1. You felt by that point, Spurs were in control of the game and we would go on to score more goals. Were you disappointed that we didn't see any more goals from Tottenham in the second half?
Well, yeah, always. Well, I'm always disappointed if we don't score. But what I was really encouraged about is the way that we started the second half. We've started games in half slowed, you know what I mean? Or we can lose focus, or we can allow the opposition to have their first 10 minutes of kind of, dominant play and kind of we be troubled by them for a minute. But we started it like we wanted the fourth and we wanted the fifth and we wanted the sixth. We was just unlucky in certain areas there, whether it was like Gaz was saying there, whether it was a trap save or whether it was just, side netting or we had the opportunities, we created the opportunities. Even in those last 5 minutes, we had the penalty and we had two opportunities with Hill, I think it was, that could have gone square to him or so we could have scored.
Could have been 6 or 7, Ricky, innit? It could have been.
But between 90 and 95 minutes, we could have scored another 2. Do you know what I mean?
It's mad. It's crazy.
So yes, of course, I'm disappointed that we didn't put the foot on the gas because if we would have scored the fourth, I think the changes would have been more acceptable in that sense because we've won the game at this point. They're down to 10 men, and it could have been 9 men actually. That other defender should have gone off for a second yellow, but whatever.
Weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the referee done him a favour then and was like, "Look, man, take that injury and get off the field now before I send you off," sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but. Yes, we came under pressure because they threw everything at us, and we switched off at that point when those subs come in. We've already spoken about the momentum and the pace, and what we lost with the subs. But I think if we would have scored that 4th or 5th, we could have accepted it a bit more, and they would have been a little bit more comfortable to come in and play their game. Suddenly we was on the back foot again, and suddenly it was like, okay, wake up, let's go again. And the boys done well to kind of finish the game the way they did.
Yeah,
Craig, let's come to you. Emerson Royal. No more Emerson comments. No more Emerson comments. No, seriously, Craig. In the 52nd minute, great work from Richarlison. Rolled it across to Sessegnon. Goalkeeper. Fantastic work from Richarlison.
I remember that now.
That Sessegnon's got to be finishing that, hasn't he?
Yeah. To be fair, actually, I thought it was just a bad miss. But when you look at it, it was a fantastic tackle by the. I think the defender might have got a toe to it, and then whether it came off Sessegnon's boot and looped up, and the keeper made a great save anyway in any stretch. But it was a great move. And that battling by Richarlison was awesome. That is what you want to see. game in, game out. That is what Richarlison gives you. I mean, that took some strength to hold that defender off, because he was nowhere near favourite to actually win that, and he came out with the ball and provided a decent cross. So, I hope he's fit for Saturday. I still think you're probably going to start Kulusevski by the sound of it, but I think playing against his old club as well. I mean, he's going to be fired up for that one, isn't he? I've just got another Conte quote here from his presser that he said, the final part we have to take a big lesson. Everybody, myself and the players, everybody conceded. The game ended. I'm guessing what he means is everybody gave up towards the end. Maybe also the fans. It was an important win for us, and now we are leading the group. Everything is in our hands, which is very true. Harry Kane tweeted and said, important win. We go top of the group. Great strike from Sonny for his second, and a good team performance on the whole. And there was a little Spurs have tweeted out a little video with Sonny with his man of the match award, which is great. He's actually wearing a really nice training top. I'll have to get that one if you go to Tottenham. It really is nice. I like that. But Anyway, going back to Sessegnon, should have been burying that cross from Richarlison there.
Yeah. Let's while you're on the subject about man of the match, do we all agree that it was Heung-min Son?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to give it to Son. I think not far behind him, I would probably say Højbjerg, though, for me. He's not far behind Son, but I think you've got to give it to Son for his determination, his skill, and his both his goals. I mean, look, the second goal was so good. We're kind of not talking about the first goal so much, but don't take nothing away from that first goal, because he was so calm and cool and collect when he scored that first one. In that situation, a lot of players panic, and he probably would have a few games before, so you can see how far he's come. But for me, Son man of the match, second goal. I'm going to watch it God knows how many times before I go to bed tonight, because that's how sad I am. I'll watch the highlights, I'll watch it over, and I honestly, it was such a great goal. It really was. I'm buzzing from it. I loved it. I thought it's one of his best goals,
Well, he was dying to get the hat-trick. In the 58th minute, Heung-min Son took a free kick, goalkeeper saved. 3 minutes later, Frankfurt, one of their players got a red card. And then just a minute later, Heung-min Son with another shot from range, this time goalkeeper saved. Rick, let's come to you. There's a comment on screen now. Qatar is going to make or break the second half of the season for the sides in the top half of the Premier League table and the European competitions. What does the panel want to see in the January transfer window? Do you expect much movement in the January transfer window for Tottenham?
I think they're planning for at least one or two in there in January. But I think it's gonna like the guy that commented just there. I can't remember his name right now, but like the guy just commented just there, 2000 DGT or GT. See, you got me reading now. But what I'm trying to say is that I agree with you in the sense that the World Cup could do a lot. We've got a lot of internationals out there. We've got a lot of people playing in the World Cup, and depending on injuries and what type of injuries we sustain in that, I think will determine what our priorities are going into January. But I think we are definitely going to be using the January window to recruit players.
Paul.
Big up, Paul.
Hello, Paul. Thank you, mate.
but I think that's what's going to determine what we do in January. If we have a few big bad injuries going into that second period of the season, then I think we're going to have to spend some money, some real money, and improve the squad in places that we didn't think that we needed to improve them. But if we can continue to add to it, then we've all spoken about a creative midfielder, so that when they can play the 3-5-2, we've got another attacking option. And we've all spoken about a right wing back, a certified right wing back that can do the job and that can be trusted. Do you know what I mean? To do every aspect of the job in that first team as a regular. So I think we'll be looking at those spots. And I think as a wild card in January, I think we will be looking at Bastoni again. This is not like exclusive news. Fabrizio hasn't phoned me and given me the insight, but it's just my theory that if we can go in and put in a bid, whether it's like we secure him for the summer or we try and make a move for him in January, I think we would do that if the opportunity was there to make that happen.
What about you, Craig? You expecting much?
I'm pretty much on the same lines as Ricky. Actually, I think we'll probably sign a couple of players. I'm not 100% convinced what positions they'll be, because it seems to me, I've said before that I think Doherty and Royal are going to be here for the rest of the season, and hopefully Spence is going to get a few games, whether it be the cups or whatever. Or because I totally agree what Ali Gold said. Once he's given his chance, I think he will take it, and he'll almost force his way into the team and force Conte to pick him. I hope that happens, but we're still a little bit light in certain areas. I'd like to see somebody a bit more creative come in. Will we move for Maddison in January? There's I've read a couple of rumours about that. So whether Brendan Rodgers would let him go in January, I don't know. Depends how big the bid was. I don't know how long Maddison's got left on his contract, but I'm sure he'd be interested to come to Spurs. But yeah, I'm not so sure about a right wing back, like I say. But I totally agree with the Bastoni links. If we can get a fee agreed and loan him back for 6 months, and then whatever happens with Longley in the summer. But I have to say, I thought Longley had a pretty decent game tonight. I thought he played really well. Didn't really put a foot wrong at all there. So, if he's getting regular game time, he might want to stay. So, yeah, it's what it is. But I think a couple of players, we're just a couple of players light. It would be nice actually to get in I know we've said for ages about getting in a striker. I know we got Richarlison, but somebody to really push Harry Kane, that would be good. And God forbid we do get injuries, but I think there will all teams are going to get injuries. The annoying thing is Norway aren't in the World Cup, of course, so Haaland's going to get a nice rest. So he's going to be even fresher when we come back in January.
Yeah,
so, it's frightening, but yeah,
unbelievable start for him. Gary, just to clear this question up, January transfer window, do you expect much for Tottenham in that window?
No, not really. January's a very difficult one, isn't it? So I'm not going to get too excited about it. I like what Craig said about Maddison, because I like Maddison, and I don't know. Brendan Rodgers might not be there. Who knows? With Leicester and how things are going, so could be a possibility that it could get all a bit shaky there. So, but bringing Maddison in would be great. But I can't see much happening in January. No, if I'm honest with you, I don't. I'm never really too excited for the January transfer window, if I'm honest, mate. But Maddison is one of the players I would love to get in. Again, Royal and Doherty, they're not going anywhere, are they? So it is what it is. But let's see. Just touching on the Kane thing, because a couple of press conferences and stuff, I don't like when they start asking him about injuries and stuff, mate. It makes me nervous. Yeah. When I'm watching Sky, and they're bringing up the subject of injury. Why are you asking him about injuries, man? I don't want him sitting there and he has to explain or talk about injuries. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, it's just tempting fate. I hate it.
It's like planting the seed, isn't it? You don't want it to be planted. Just don't.
It's horrible. It's horrible. We're all nervous. It is going in when he starts playing for England. And then they're talking about injuries that haven't even happened. I just think, oh, come on. But January, look, maximum will be two players in, no more than that. That's a definite. So yeah,
it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. In the 66th minute, Antonio Conte made a couple of subs. Richarlison and Bentancur off, Skip and Basuma on. Just 2 minutes later, Eric Dyer had a free kick, which it was nice to see Eric Dyer take a free kick for once, I must say. He put it over the wall, just wide. 74th minute, Hugo Lloris, this was a save that you were going on about, Gary. Hugo Lloris didn't have a lot to do in that second half. In the 74th minute, Rick, let's come to you on this one. 74th minute, Hugo Lloris, a fantastic save. And when you think of the scoreline finishing 3-2 in the end, that was a vital save from our captain.
Yeah, and I think it shows you the class of Hugo. I know there's sometimes that we can talk about his kicking, or we can talk about the weaknesses in his game. But how many times has he stood up for us in the Champions League and done those fingertip type of saves, done those almost, and they end up being pivotal and vital to the overall score and the points and whether it be in the table or going through. Hugo's unbelievable, man. And yes, he does have his flaws, but what a keeper he is and what a captain, because the fact that he done that, it lifted everybody within the side as well to kind of keep moving forward and to wake up at times as well. So, big, massive kind of clap and well done to Hugo tonight, showing again why he's the captain and why he's captain fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I know this is probably the wrong time to talk about trophies, but I'll tell you what, if Hugo Lloris ends up leaving Spurs without winning a trophy, I just think that will be dreadful. I really do. I just hope that we see Hugo at some point in the next year or two with the trophy at Spurs under Conte. Craig, let's come to you. In the 78th minute, Eric Dyer went off, Sanchez come on. In the 85th minute, a double sub, Brian Hill coming on. Højbjerg going off, Moura coming on, Song going off. Nice to see Lucas Moura back, because of course we haven't seen him for a couple of months, and nice to see Brian Hill get some game time. I know some of you have mentioned already about how lively Brian Hill was, but in that last 5-10 minutes, I know it was 5 minutes of stoppage time, the last 10 minutes of the game, Brian Hill looked very lively.
Yeah, he did. Perhaps this fact he shaved his moustache off. I think he's been better since he lost that. But no, it's really good to see him. Really good to see him come on. He did look lively. He's actually quite a quick player, isn't he? And I thought that chance had gone when it I can't remember who put him through, but it kind of bounced and spun behind him, and he missed his kick, and then sort of fell over. He was tackled, and then obviously that bad back heel by the defender, and he was banging straight on it. So to change direction so fast, to get on the ball, and then that jinky run. To be honest, it was such a shame that he got fouled, or he couldn't stand his feet and get that. That would have been a great goal, you know. You know, he was just amazing to watch. He did. I'm not comparing him to Messi, but it was that's the sort of run Messi used to do in his heyday, wasn't he? That little jinking run in and out. And I'm not, before you give me pelters, I'm not comparing Brian Hill to Lionel Messi, but it's that kind of movement. And a bit gutted for him. He actually got brought down, and admittedly, I was probably like everybody else thought, game over, Harry's going to score the penalty, and of course he missed. But if he's going to miss one, that's the time to miss it, I guess. When we were. What was it? Was it 3? It was 3-2, wasn't it? So it's still on a knife edge, the game, but it would have put it to bed. But he's going to miss him. He'll be gutted that he missed it, because it'd have been one more goal close to Greavesy, wouldn't he? I think he's 9 away now. So
9 away, 9 away.
So that'd be nice for him. It wouldn't it be nice by the end of the year? I don't think it's going to happen, because he'd have to go some before the World Cup. But he's got 2 to draw level with Rooney for England and 9 to draw level with Greavesy. So he's injury free. Touchwood, he's going to do both this year, isn't he? So that would be or this season anyway. So that'd be great.
Gary, let's come to you. In the 86th minute, Frankfurt had a long-range shot. Hugo Lloris pushed it past the post. And then in the resulting corner, that's where Frankfurt's second goal came from. A disappointing goal to concede, certainly at that stage of the game.
Just frustrating, but I sense it. I can see it happening. We start defending deep, we sit back, and you just see it time and time again with Tottenham. And it's so annoying, because the longer the game goes on, you don't get that fourth goal, because, as a Tottenham fan, you're not relaxed unless you're 3 or 4 up. You know what I mean?
But
are you
surprised that we're seeing that under Antonio Conte, who demands so much, who demands that concentration, and we're conceding a goal in the 87th minute?
I'm not really, because I just think it's not that easy to get out of the Tottenham mentality. And I think, like we spoke about earlier, when we go behind, we tend to say, right, we've gone behind here, lads, we need to go for it. And then we kick on and, we equalise and we go ahead. But then the first thing that we do is sit back. We take our foot off the gas and we sit back. And it was probably detrimental them going down to 10 men, because I've seen that happen quite a lot. When the other team with 10 men, they tend to just kind of go for it more. And Spurs, they're their own worst enemies. They just sat back too much and obviously invite the pressure on. And I was not surprised in the slightest when they got the second goal, because screaming, shouting to my boy, and I said, we're going to concede again. We're sitting back. We're sitting too deep. We haven't got the fourth goal. We're going to concede again. And we did. And then, whether it's just me, but I'm thinking near the end there, we're going to just come away with a draw. And thankfully, Lloris pulled off. Look, there's two ways to look at it, right? At the end of the day, we sat back deep. They got a goal back. It could have ended a draw. Lloris did a couple of great saves. But ultimately, we could have still got 2 or 3 goals in them last 5 minutes. You know, this is the problem. It's very, very frustrating watching Tottenham. And then that game ends, right? And I look at that game and I think, right, I'm coming on Chris's show. Am I happy? Yes, I'm happy. We've got the 3 points. Am I happy with the performance? Most of it, but not all of it. Am I happy that we've conceded right near the end and nearly just walked away with a draw? No, I'm not. Do you know? And I just want sometimes Tottenham to just make it easy. And it's just frustrating when you concede a goal late on, you know, it's difficult.
The thing is, though, Gary, under Antonio Conte, and there was a comment a minute ago saying about we've lost 2 games this season so far, and some people in like the last week or so are saying, "Oh, we want Conte out," which is
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
You know, Conte is the best thing to happen to Spurs in a very, very long time, and you know we've got a world-class manager.
100%.
You know, we are a very hard team to beat at the moment.
We are, Chris, and you know, God, I mean, we've been doing this show for years now, and I always said the man that we need in, the only guy we can get is Conte. You know, someone like Graham Potter, or you know, even bringing Poch back. It wasn't for Tottenham. We needed Conte to try and get this winning mentality and get this into these players. This is the man for the job, but it's not going to be easy, and there are still cracks with Tottenham, and we saw it again tonight. You know, and look, I felt we was really good against Brighton as well. And we could have, again, won that game 2 or 3-0. But again, we're holding on at 1-0. So, that you know, but Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take time, Chris. And like you said, we've only lost a couple of times this season. It's not the end of the world, you know. And ultimately, tomorrow comes and you look at it and you think, we've got 3 points. We're top of the group. The other results were quite favourable for us. So we're in a good place. So did I hear you right, Craig? If we win our next game, are we then through the group?
We are, and I think if Frankfurt beat Marseille, we also guaranteed to finish top. I think that's right.
Right. Yeah. So you see that 7.6. So, but basically, we win our next game, and then we're out the group. Yeah.
We're in the next round. Yeah, we're in the round of 16. Yeah.
So look, we done what needed to be done tonight. You know. Let's just get it done in the next game. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter if we conceded late. Tonight, it matters a bit because you're worried and you're nervous the last 5 minutes. But ultimately, Chris, and like all you guys will agree, it's just a result, isn't it, at the end of the day, you know? We want 3 points.
I think what you can credit Conte with massively, and there's no denying this, the game against Brighton, for example, in years and seasons gone by, we would have either drawn or even lost that.
Yeah,
there's lots of games like that.
That has happened a few times, hasn't it? Where we've been on here, and I've said it myself. You know, that we're going to get caught out eventually. We're going to get found out. But when you look at the bigger picture, we've won the game. We've got points out the game. Whereas before, you know, in seasons gone by, and we've all been there, and we all know what Spurs were like. We had a soft underbelly, and I think it is a gradual thing. You cannot do that overnight, and it's instilling. You know, Conte is the person who instilled the belief in these players, and we have got to give him a bit of time and a few transfer windows to get that. And it is you're going to get frustrating games, and you're going to get frustrating runs. But if there is one person that has been there, done it, and can do it for us, it's Conte. Because if he can't, who can?
But you're right, Craig, what you said, because, you know, I'll be honest here, cards on the table. Against Brighton, I said to Chris as well, I didn't fancy us in that game. I thought we were going to lose that game. And then fast forward to tonight, I thought we'd comfortably win this 3-0. I was wrong on both counts, but it's still good that I was wrong because we still won both games. And that's the problem with Tottenham Hotspur. You don't know what you're going to get with Tottenham. You don't know really hand on heart if they're going to go to Brighton away and win or whether they're going to comfortably win at home. You really don't know. And I think as good as Conte is and as good as our team is, because, you know, let's be honest about it, our team is a pretty good team. But you just don't know what you're going to get. You know pretty much what you're going to get with Man City and teams like that. But with Tottenham, you know, you're still a little bit unsure going into each game, aren't you? You know, you'd like to think that being at home would make the games a lot easier and more comfortable with the home fans, but not necessarily. And tonight was a perfect example of that, where in the end we could have maybe drawn that game. I don't think we ever would have lost it, but it could have ended up a draw, which would have been really frustrating for all of us. Could you imagine we're sitting on this tonight and you know, we conceded again and it was a draw? we'd have been pretty wound up.
Do you know what? It reminds me of West Ham under Mourinho when we was winning 3-1.
Oh.
Brought on a couple of subs, and then they ended up, pulling it back to 3-3. Do you remember that?
Yeah. We were free up with like 8 minutes.
Do you know what? It's so weird how you should mention that game, because when they were on the edge of the box and it was 3-2, and one of our players, I think it was Brian Hill actually, who didn't quite clear it properly.
No, Harry Winks it was.
No, today I mean when it went out.
Sorry, I thought you meant the
players,
yeah.
He was just about to hit it, and that's exactly what I thought. I thought, oh my God, please don't let this be another West Ham moment where, of course, you just mentioned.
That was horrible.
So you got to look at the difference between how far we've come from that West Ham result to where we are tonight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, it was scary, but we got over the line.
100%.
I think what's been a reoccurring problem for us is the second team, right? So anytime that we've switched out and gone into the second team, there has been a dip in level. There has been a dip in performance. There has been a dip with this team. And you saw it even when Conte came in and we was playing in the Conference League, and we was going away to teams and he was changing it up. Nuno changed it up, and you couldn't rely on the second team whatsoever. So the fact that they've gone to work, not only in January with Bentancur and Kulusevski, but they've gone to work and brought in six new recruits this year. They're trying to change up this second squad. They're trying to change up the squad as a whole, but to bring in second teamers to kind of either let somebody get some rest or give them a start and let them start bleeding into the team. That's where the workers come. And little bit by little bit, guys, little bit by little bit, we're getting there. You can see even tonight when he brought on the sub, I think
you're right, Ricky, because something you've just reminded me of, which I didn't even think about. We've still won that game, but we've done that without Kulusevski, And I think we have to actually, because I didn't actually think about that. Obviously I know he's injured. I think he's back for the Everton game and said, but you have to sometimes take a step back and think to yourself, Kulusevski has been pinnacle for us this season. He's been a really good player in that midfield. And we still pretty much controlled most of that game and still won that game. And then boys won Europa League. They're no pushover, and we've done that game tonight without Kulusevski. So I think, you know what? I think you're right, actually. I think the more we do these shows and stuff, it makes you reflect and then things come into your mind and you think about things. And now I'm looking at it and I'm actually don't feel as disappointed as what I did when the game first ended. Because I'm thinking to myself now, those guys won Europa League and Kulusevski sitting on the bench. That's a big change. It's a big, big difference. You know what I mean? We have grown. You can see that there's been changes. You're right.
And they're little baby steps, but you can see little bit by little bit we're getting there.
Yeah. And West Ham is a perfect example to throw out there, because I don't know about you guys, but that was a very, very painful one for me.
Sick.
That was one of the worst ones for me. I mean, that hurt me more than losing the North London derby this season. Honestly, it really did. That West Ham one, and we still got a point out of it, but it was horrendous. I think it was 3 goals in 8 minutes, wasn't it? Oh.
It's amazing how that game. Funny, Chris should mention that, but it mirrored Kane missing the penalty, mirrored Gareth Bale going through, and just when he had the goal at his mercy, and then Lanzini waxing that. He'll never score another goal like that.
No,
so
absolute
very
rocket.
Strange.
And Harry Winks, he could have just cleared it. It just it haunts me.
Just before we go to Craig with this question on screen, Rick, let's come to you. I just want to talk a little bit about Brian Hill, because I thought it was a great performance from him. Just the few minutes that he was on the pitch. Do you think Antonio Conte will trust him to have any Premier League minutes in the near future? And when was the last time you saw Harry Kane miss a penalty?
I can't remember Kane missing a penalty. Apart from tonight, it's just automatic. Even my dad never watches penalties, right? Regardless, Harry Kane or whoever, he doesn't watch it. He's got to go out the room. He thinks it's bad luck or whatever. So he'll always walk out, and I'm always the one watching. And with Harry, it's not even like I just believe he's always going to score. So it was more of a shock that he actually skied it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I think for someone like Harry, who is an analyst, who is a perfectionist, who does work hard on and off the training pitch to improve his game and get to those next levels, it's a great little kind of but we've still got work to do. It's a little slap. Do you know what I mean? We still got work. We can't take our eye off the ball. And not that I'm saying he did or has, but that will spur him on even more so to kind of not make that mistake again, and to to kind of be the ultimate professional that he can be. So I think even though it was a negative during the game, I think it will end up being a positive for someone like Harry Kane. And for Hill,
not bad.
And on Brian Hill, I hope he gets a few more minutes. I think if we're looking for people that create problems, Richarlison, one of his biggest selling points was that he creates chaos and he creates problems, and he's nasty to play against. And we know that when we've played Everton and he's played against us. We know how tricky and how naughty he can be within the game. And if you look at what Brian Hill done tonight, and I know it's only 10 minutes and I'm not going to get carried away. I know it was just a highlight, but you could see that not only does he have speed, but he's got fantastic dribbling ability. If he can put on the weight and put on the physicality like someone like Lucas can, who's a similar height to him, do you know what I mean? If he can bulk himself up so where he can hold people off the ball when he's trying to just get pushed off a bit, he could be phenomenal. And I think that showing tonight is only a positive for someone like Conte, because he knows in another game, if he needs to create chaos in that box, he can put Brian Hill on, and he can make something happen. I think he was unlucky not to score tonight as well, for that Harry Kane cross not to find him. And then I know he was through, for the penalty as well, he was through. And if that guy didn't clip him, like leave his legs stranded, I think he would have put that away, and that would have been a beautiful goal that we was talking about tonight. So I think there's loads more to come from him, and I think it's a good thing that he's at Tottenham Hotspur. But even if he goes out on loan next year, I think it's great for him to be at Tottenham Hotspur training ground under Conte, under the demands, and eating that steak and working out with Lucas, and kind of getting his body strength up. I think it's only going to be good things for us in the future. So, I hope he gets a few more minutes. I think he's done well in front of Conte to kind of go, look, you can trust me. I can make things happen. And if we're in trouble, you can turn to me. Do you know what I mean? And I think that was great. It was very encouraging for him as well. I think he will go leaps and bounds with that 10-minute performance tonight as well.
It only seems right to give Craig this question. Kev writes on the screen now. What does Antonio Conte see in Emerson Royal that we're not seeing? What do you reckon, Craig?
In all seriousness, it's got to be something in training, and Antonio Conte must feel that of the three right wing backs that we've got, that Emerson Royal is probably the fittest, and I'm not going to deny that. I haven't seen enough of Jed Spence to know if he's fit or not, but obviously Doherty's had the injury, so he primarily wants them to defend. I think it's safe to say Conte's more of a pragmatic manager, isn't he? So he probably sees Emerson as the best defender out of the three. I'm not going to deny that. I think he probably is. But as Spurs fans, we want to see the wing part. I've said before, that's the part that matters to us more than the defensive part, whereas Conte probably sees it the other way around. So in answer to Kev's question, he probably sees Emerson as the best defender of the three. Perhaps he's waiting for other elements of the team to either come up to a certain standard or get all the players he wants in certain positions before he tries somebody like a Spence. I don't know, but it must be purely down to what he sees in training, fitness, taking on board what he wants him to learn. Because probably, if you ask Conte and he said, you had him 1-to-1 off the record, is Emerson your ideal right wing back? And he surely would have to say no, but he sees him as the best fit for his team. And as much as most of us probably hate it to admit it, we've just got to trust what Conte sees and does. And through the natural course of games, I still think, and I'll say it again, I think Spence will get his chance and he'll take it. But it's just a waiting game for him.
Yeah.
Get off his back, Craig, man. You're always on Royal's back, bro.
I know. I thought I gave quite a
it was a very
answer
good
there.
answer that was, mate. I
thought it was going well until there was a but But no,
Well, wait until the show's over, and then Craig WhatsApps me the real answer.
The real answer.
That would be very different.
In fairness, Craig used to get on the back of Harry Winks, and now the new guy is Emerson Royal, isn't it?
Yeah,
Craig?
it's got to be someone, isn't there?
Yeah.
But
I'd caveat that with, I always did say I was actually in a way sad to see Harry Winks go, because he is a Tottenham boy. I always respect the fact that Harry Winks came through the academy, been there since he was 5, lives, breathes, and would die for the club. And you cannot deny that about Harry Winks. He wanted to succeed at Spurs.
Yeah,
it must have been tough for him, and he will be back. He will be back.
God.
But, I don't hate anyone. It's just, it's all about opinions, isn't it? And we all get frustrated with players that we don't, that we want to see other players, and that is all it is. And that's why football's so great. It's all about opinions, and we can all agree to disagree. But Emerson Royal is not the best right wing back for me, but he might be somebody else's dream right wing back. So that's your opinion.
Right, well, let's have a look at the Champions League table, Group D. Tottenham are top, as I said earlier. We've now played 4. We've won 2. We've drawn 1. We've lost 1. We've got a goal difference of +1. We have 7 points. Marseille and Sporting are in 2nd and 3rd places, respectively, 6 points from 4 games. Frankfurt are bottom of the table, just 4 points from 4 games. The other result in Group D today, Sporting 0, Marseille 2. We've got 2 games left in the group stage. On the 26th of October, just in 2 weeks' time, we play Sporting at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then in 3 weeks' time, on Tuesday, the 1st of November, we play Marseille away. Now, what you've seen so far in the group stage, Gary, do you think that Spurs will win the group and go through to the next stage?
Yeah, I think so. I think we will. Definitely the next game we'll get a win. And I think the Marseille one, we're not going to lose it. I think that will probably be a win as well. So I do think we'll win the group and go through. I think it was very, very important we won tonight, which we did finally, thankfully. But I do think we'll win the group and we'll go through. I mean, look, Tottenham never make it easy. I mean, God, the time we got to Champions League final, remember that group and stuff. So, it's never, ever a walk in the park with Tottenham, but I think we'll win the group and, we'll go through. So I'm confident.
Ricky, you confident that Spurs will now win the group and go through to the next stage?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. It's what I was saying about a good loss when we lost against Sporting. I think it came at the right time. If there was going to be a loss, I think it came at the right time to wake everybody up, basically. Yeah. And you've seen a little glimpse of the Tottenham we know and love tonight, and I think we're only going to get stronger. Those baby steps, we're building. Even from last Frankfurt game to tonight, we're building. So I agree with Gary that next week I think we'll go at Sporting, even though Sporting are dangerous because they're quick and they're technical and they play without fear. Even though they got done tonight, do you know what I mean? They could cause a problem. But so it's not to underestimate them, but we've got to go out there with that same mentality that we had tonight, to kind of show everybody what we're about, dominate, take the game away from them, bring on the subs, win the game, and keep it moving, win that group and keep it moving, So yeah, totally agree with Gaz there. We'll win the next 2 and top this group, and we'll be on to the knockouts. Hopefully we can rest a couple of players against Marseille even. Do you know what I mean? So that's why it's even more important that we do win our home game next week.
Craig, do you agree with Ricky that we'll win our 2 remaining games?
I certainly think we'll win next week, and then as I say, if Frankfurt beat Marseille, then we're guaranteed to finish top. So the game against Marseille is kind of it's a free hit essentially, isn't it? So he could even choose to rest players and try a few things there. So that wouldn't that be great? That would be fantastic. To be able to do that and rest the likes of Harry Kane. What I would say about Sporting, I think I'm right in saying this, they've had a man sent off in their last 2 Champions League games. So I don't know who those players were and how important it is to their setup, but it'd be interesting to see who that was. But Conte is going to know all of this. Of course he is, and will want to hopefully hit the ground running from the first whistle and get that game won. That would be great to get that without having to go to Marseille and get something, because that would be, it's not going to be an easy place to go, is it?
No.
So, but yeah, there's no reason we can't do it. No reason we can't do it. We've done it before. And,
we'll do it. We will do it.
I always thought, if we can still be in this competition after Christmas, then you've got a chance. You're down there at 16, luck of the draw. And of course, you want to finish first to, perhaps finish first in the group, you draw the second in another group. So in theory, you get should get an easier draw. But obviously, we know it doesn't always work like that. But yeah, we've got all the tools in the toolbox to get that job done next week. So hopefully we will do it.
The toolbox is back. That's your line, Rick. The triangle. I'll never forget that.
Rubbing off.
Now, earlier today, Tottenham Hotspur under-19s were in action in the UEFA Youth League. We were 2-0 up. Alfie Devine scoring in the 10th minute and the 38th minute. And then an 8-minute spell in the second half. Frankfurt scored 3 goals. The third goal was an absolute weldy. If you didn't see it, do check out the highlights on YouTube. And also, before the Everton game on Saturday, an event is taking place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, organised by Spurs Reach. It's called Black and Lily White, a celebration of Spurs Black history, a unique event for Black History Month. Spurs Reach have confirmed the following guests: Ledley King, who, of course, celebrates his 42nd birthday today, and, of course, is the last person to lift a trophy as Spurs captain back in 2008. Rebecca Walker is also a guest, Chris Powell, AJ Tracy, and the event is hosted by Troy Townsend. I'll be there, really looking forward to it, and if you'd like any more information about this, please do follow Spurs Reach on social media. Now, let's talk about the Everton game, which, of course, is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday. Ricky, let's start with you. How are you feeling ahead of this Everton game in the Premier League on Saturday evening?
All right, I will answer this question, Chris. But can I ask you a question before we move on from the Champions League? Because I always like to ask you this question. What was it like in the stadium, bro? Like, with all the flags and the tributes and just the energy and the noise, obviously I could hear it at home. But again, what was it like in the stadium tonight?
It's I think it was very similar to the Brighton away game, to be honest, Rick. This last week or so has been very emotional. I think that sometimes that it has been quiet when fans need to be quiet and take it all in. But ultimately, I think these last couple of weeks, ever since that Arsenal defeat, we have grinded out the results, and I think that is fantastic. But as you guys have already said, John Pero Ventroni, to have his stopwatch and to have his jacket on the chair at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tonight, and of course John Duncan passing away as well. And a little story on John Duncan. I actually met him whilst I was doing one of the stadium updates around the new ground. I actually met John Duncan, and I actually stood with him for 10-15 minutes chatting about Tottenham. And what a lovely, lovely guy he was. And, it's been a very, very sad week. So it's been an emotional week as well. And of course, you mentioned it on the show as well last week, with me doing the marathon as well. Ever since I've done that, I felt emotionally drained. So it just feels like a real like an emotional week. But Antonio Conte has got this group of players, and I think that is when we've seen, some players be real leaders as well. Because Conte even said, I left some of the players to it, and the players have had to step up and grind these results out. So I agree with what Gary said before. There are some times where you think that we would have lost these games, but we haven't. We beat Brighton and we won tonight, which has been 2 good results. And I still stand by what I've said before. When we get out of first gear, I will feel very excited because we are grinding these results out. We're winning. We're winning matches. We're putting points on the board. It looks like we're going to go and progress to the next stage of the Champions League. We're third in the Premier League table at the moment. You know, things are looking up. And if Antonio Conte, and I say this a lot of the times on my Tottenham news videos, if Antonio Conte is backed in the next couple of windows, then exciting times ahead. And as I keep saying about trophies, you know, some of these players and us fans, definitely us fans, need success. And I believe that Antonio Conte will deliver that. Rick, back to you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Chris. I always like to know what it's like in the stadium, bro, when I can't be there. You know, it's different watching it at home and being there. So I always like to ask. But yes, Everton. Everton, it's going to be a tough game. I think every game in the Premiership is right now. Everyone's got something to fight for. And Everton don't want a repeat of last season either. They've been picking up points a little bit by a little bit. Like we're seeing there, they've won 2, drawn 4, lost 3 in their 9 games so far. So it's going to be a bit of a different side. I think Onana and Idris Gueye coming in has made them a little bit more solid in the midfield. They're without Anthony Gordon this week because he's got a suspension. So I don't know. They might have Damari Gray up front, but you know they've been gaining confidence a little bit by a little bit. But again, it's not about them, Chris. It's about us. It's always. Don't worry about them. Let them worry about us. And it's how we turn up. It's how we arrive. It's what we, you know, how they recover from tonight and what they can put in, what energy they've got left in those tanks to put in for the game on Saturday. You know, I see us winning. I'm gonna give us. Oh, is it prediction time? I won't do prediction. Is it prediction time, Chris?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, I'll hold it. I'll see us winning. I'll see a bit of a battle of the game. But as long as we kind of learn the lessons that we have been week on week, we start the game well. We start the game at pace. we use the pass back as an option and not a solution. And we use that patient passing possession play. We use it when we need to use it. That ain't the default setting. We need to be in and we need to be going through the gears as quickly as we can and winning that game, you know, putting it to bed as quickly as we can. And then, like tonight, we can start to worry about the next game in this crazy schedule. So, yeah, I see us turning back up. I see us going at them and I see us coming away with a big 3 points.
Craig, let's come to you because Everton didn't start very well. They lost to Chelsea, they lost to Aston Villa, followed by 4 draws against Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Leeds and Liverpool. Then they won against West Ham and Southampton. And then in their most recent game, losing 2-1 at Goodison to Manchester United. How do you see this game going? Because, of course, last season, it was an absolute thrashing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And the Spurs fans were singing to Frank Lampard, "You're getting sacked in the morning." And we put 5 past them, beating them 5-0. Do you think it's going to be similar scoreline again?
I would love it to be 5-0 again, but I don't think it's going to be 5-0 again. Lampard loved beating us when he was at Chelsea, and that obviously hasn't changed now he's the manager. So I think it's going to be a tighter game. I agree with Ricky, though. I think we will have enough to get over the line. Look, Everton have picked up some good results lately and started picking up points, getting a bit of momentum, but you know, on paper, we should be steamrolling really, and we should win that game easily. So, you know, and if we've got any aspirations of finishing as high at the Premier League as we want to, then we should be beating with respect to Everton. We should be beating teams like Everton. So really no excuses, and the fact we're at home as well. You know, it's a game. I know they're all must-win games, but it is a game. You know, we've said before, Chris, about when you go into games, and I'm expecting Tottenham to win that game, whereas you might go into a Man City and you know you might be hoping for a draw. This is one of those games where I expect Tottenham to win, because Everton will come at you. They're not going to be sitting deep all the time, and so that will hopefully give us a bit of opportunities to press higher up the pitch. And we'll obviously still play our on the break sort of thing like we normally do, but I think that Everton will give you chances to get in behind them and not just on the counter attack. You know, so I think we just got to go for it. But I think we will get the win Saturday.
Craig, it looks like Dejan Kulusevski will be back. Will he walk straight into the starting 11, or will he be on the sub bench, do you think?
I think he'll start. I think he'll start Son, Kane, and Kulusevski, regardless of what the situation with Richarlison's injury. I think Decky comes straight back into that front three. To be honest, he's had a rest almost, isn't it? It's a false rest, but he should be sharp. I think he wanted to play tonight, but I think Conte said he was 95%, but he's going to be 100% for the weekend. So yeah, it sounds like he's going to be ready, and I think he'll come straight back in.
Gary, let's come to you on the same question about the Everton game, and of course we haven't mentioned about the formation. What are you a fan of mostly, a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3?
I quite like 3-4-3. But, you know, I hear so many different opinions of this. And I think it's like what Conte said, you know, everyone's got their favourite position and stuff like that. But you have to bear in mind that he has to rotate that. You can't play the same position all the time. And it can depend on injuries, players in and out, and who you're playing. But for me, I like a 3-4-3. That works well with me. I'm quite happy when I see that. But at the same time, look, if Conte wants to change that system and mix it up, as long as we're getting the points, Chris, I'm happy. But if you ask me my opinion, I quite like when we play a 3-4-3. In regards to Everton on Saturday, I'm really confident about this game. I'm actually really looking forward to this one a lot more than I was Brighton. And I think it'll be a comfortable win for us. I think Son's obviously on great form now. He'll be bouncing from that game there, same as Harry Kane. Missing that penalty is just going to motivate him even more to score some more goals. Like you said, he's got the Rooney and Greavesy not far away. And Kulusevski coming back in the team. You know, for me, he's been the best signing for Tottenham. I know there's talks of making it permanent now and stuff. Again, that will just motivate him, you know, and he starts on Saturday, no doubt about it. And we get a really, really good result. I can't see anything else. So,
Gary, Faz writes on the screen now. Do you agree that we're in a golden era of Antonio Conte and Fabio Prasci?
Well, I think we are because, you know, if you go right back to the beginning, Chris, we was having all this stuff with Mourinho and Nuno and talk about Poch coming back. I think the only man we could get in the only road we could go down was Antonio Conte. So, and you know, it has to work with him. You know, it has to work with him. And you can't really argue with anything at the moment. I mean, let's just take ourselves back to, you know, we did get top four and we are in Champions League football. That is massive. And I think, you know, it's funny because, again, I'll mention like this show tonight, it makes you forget about that. I'm frustrated with the performance tonight, but it's nice that we're in the Champions League to have those performances. You know, we're not playing tomorrow night like some of the other small clubs.
Well,
you know,
of all the people, Gary, of all the people to get on the show tonight, you know, you and I travelled to the Europa Conference League games away last season. Yeah. Now we're playing the Champions League. Now, what you know, tell people what a difference it is.
Well, Chris, I mean, it was this time last year because it's coming up to my birthday, and I'll never forget last year because that trip to Amsterdam, you know, that trip to Amsterdam was, you know, apart from the company was great, but it was absolutely horrendous. The team, the management, the way we set up, and you know, Ren.
Can I just say? Gary absolutely moaned about everything. Absolutely everything.
I did.
He moaned non-stop about everything. Right.
I was so angry.
Even so, right, that we actually got lost going back to our hotel. We ended up with someone else's. We ended up with someone else's hotel trying to get instructions of how to get to our hotel. The woman felt sorry for him so much. He went out the back and brought him out some chocolate just to shut him up.
But what was great about that is because we was looking for this bridge that didn't exist, so we couldn't get over the Riverside Hotel. And then she came out and she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we don't have any beer or alcohol. We only have chocolate." And I was like, "That's great. I don't drink." So that actually it made my night. But that was without doubt a very, very scarring memory. It's, you know, it's nearly a year to the day, and I was talking about it earlier with Victoria. I mean, the Rennes one, France, was slightly different, but I want to touch on that just to give people an idea of the difference between Europa Conference and Champions League. Because in order for us to get to that Rennes stadium, Chris, how difficult was that journey? How long did we have to stay away? I know you had You had little
That
naps,
was
and I was eating your sweets while you were having naps.
That was a 25-hour round trip awake. 4 a.m. we left, 5 a.m. we got back. With Gary as loud as he is on this podcast for 25 hours solid.
I don't know.
I was sat in the passenger seat, and one time I actually put my head back, shut my eyes, and then Gary shouted something, and
I drove. How many hours of driving did I do on that?
A lot.
It must have been 12, 13 hours drive. You're talking on the other side of the road. And how many toll roads were there, Chris?
A lot. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Can I just say very quickly, Chris, how funny was it when I was so tired, right? And you had to pull up to the toll road. Of course, obviously, in this country, it's on the driver's side. On that country, it's on the passenger side. And every toll road I went past, there must have been about 50. I was getting further and further away. We were getting more and more tired. And Chris went to lean out and he goes, "Can you fucking park any further away?" And I'm like, we were so tired and stressed out. And then we just burst out laughing. But what a difference between Thursday nights in Europa Conference and then watching a Champions League game on a Wednesday night. Very, very different, isn't it? Hey, amazing.
I know.
Let's not forget that.
Apologies to you all because we've overrun on this show. We've been filming now for an hour and 45. I just want to get your thoughts just before we get score predictions for the Everton game. Just want to get your thoughts very, very quickly on the rumours that Spurs are in talks with Google about naming rights. Ricky, let's start with you. How would you feel about if from next season, we don't know this, it's all rumours at the moment, that if our stadium was called the Google Stadium or the Google Arena, how would that make you feel?
Listen, if it benefits the team and it puts us in a better position, not only financially, but in the structure of the world, then fantastic. These naming rights deals, we've made this stadium so that we can get things like this. And we need other revenues to come in so that we can put even more into the team. And whether that's buying a new retractable pitch or buying a new player and being able to put money towards that, just having those extra revenue streams would be fantastic. So if Google want to come in and we're the Google Arena or whatever the case may be, then fantastic, cool. I'm down with it. I'm with it. We've been waiting for a long time for these naming rights to happen. The stadium's been open a while now, and they've been looking for the right deal. So if this is the right deal and this was the one to wait for, then I'm a happy guy. Let's go get it and let's keep growing as a club.
Absolutely. Craig, what about you?
Yeah, I think I messaged you in the week, didn't I? And I said I thought the Chrome Arena would sound better than the Google Arena, but the one that does it for me, I think Alphabet own Google or something. The Alphabet Stadium just doesn't have the same ring to it for me.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not that. I mean, but I totally agree, Ricky. This is all about. I love the name White Hart Lane. I think we all do, but this is the way things are going. You've got a stadium. It used to be Eastlands, didn't it, when it first opened? Now it's the Etihad. I won't even mention that mob down the road, but there's plenty of other stadiums around the world that are sponsored by companies. I mean, Bayer Leverkusen, the actual team sponsored by a company. Obviously, Bayer is the pharmaceutical company. So, it's the way it's going. And if it brings in a lot, and it sounds like a hell of a lot of money, a season, 10, 20-year deal or whatever it is, it can only be good for the club, so I'm all for it. But I think they wouldn't it be nice in a way if they put out, look, we've got this deal with Google or Amazon or FedEx, whoever it is, but these are the names we've got to have in the stadium name, and they put it out to the fans for a vote. I don't know whether they would do that, but that would be nice if the fans got some form of say in it. That's what I'd like to see.
And I think if Google are paying that amount of money, they're going to want to choose the name. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. But the Google Stadium, will we get used to it over time? Possibly. But, I could think of better names. But, hey-ho, it's all money in it.
What about you, Gary?
I just think we'll just call it the Tottenham Stadium anyway. Most of the fans I talk to, they call it the Tottenham Stadium on White Hart Lane. So it's not really going to make a difference to us, is it? At the end of the day, do you know what I mean?
You're really selling it to Google, then, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we start winning trophies, I'm quite happy to call it Google Stadium. If we get a few trophies in the stadium, at least people can Google us on Google and see the trophy in our stadium. It'd be great.
Yeah, but can you imagine the ribbing? Oh, I'll just search up on Google where Tottenham's trophy cabinet is or something like that. I'd love it if Gary was working for Tottenham, like trying to sell that to them.
Does that mean that Danny Rose is going to go back and start Googling players with Google?
Yeah.
Look, I don't care. To me, it's always going to be White Hart Lane at Tottenham Stadium, so it doesn't make a difference to me.
Let's get on to the final question. Prediction for the Everton game. I'm going to start us off. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Spurs win. Sonny to get a brace and Harry Kane to get the other one. Rick, what are you going for?
You know what? I was with you until we started talking about Everton. And then I just realized I had a feeling that Sonny will get 1, Kane will get 2, Decky will get 1. And then Richarlison comes on for 1 more. 5-0. 5-0, 5-1. That's where I'm going. We're going to repeat it. We're going to repeat it. I know I said they were looking a bit more solid, but, this is Tottenham. Come on, let's go for it. 4 or 5-0. Let's have it.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't expect that. Craig, what are you going for?
I think we'll keep a clean sheet, but I think it will be a 2-0 victory. I think we'll. I don't know who's going to score. I'm going to say Kulusevski actually get 1, and Eric Dyer with a header. There you go.
We hope. Yeah, we hope.
And disappointingly for you, Craig, Emerson Royal will not be playing. He's suspended.
Shucks.
Gary?
Oh, shucks.
Gary,
I'm really confident about this game. So I think it's going to be. I always think Tottenham are going to concede because we're still not great from corners and set pieces. But in this particular game, I don't think they have enough up front or in midfield, Everton. I'm not worried about them. So I think I'm toying between 3 or 4-0, but let's finish it on a positive, and I'll go 4-0. And in that, I do think Son, Kane and Kulusevski are all going to score 100%. So I'll go for a 4-0. I think it'll be a comfortable win for us, and it'll be a very, very good performance, I think, definitely.
Yeah, what I forgot to mention is their key player, Anthony Gordon, is actually out because he's picked up 5 yellow cards. So he's actually suspended for this game, which is a big loss for them. Yeah.
Even better.
Anyway, all 4 of us have gone for a win. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will carry on winning at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Ricky, thanks so much for joining us this evening. It's an absolute pleasure having you on again. And tell everyone what are you up to at the moment?
I can't say a word right now, bro. I can't say a word about anything until it's signed, sealed, and delivered, and then I can say everything. But yes,
is something cooking?
Busy. There's a couple things cooking, but we've got to wait to see which one cooks first. There's a couple things cooking, but I will let you know when I can let you know. But you guys know always where to find me. On Twitter, you can find me at Ricky J Norwood. On Insta, you can find me at official Ricky Norwood. And majority of the time on the Chris Cowlin Talk Spurs show as well. You can find me here as well. So always an honour and a pleasure to be on, Chris. And I look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Ricky. Pleasure talking to you again. And Craig, an absolute pleasure talking to you again and having you on. Tell everyone what you're up to at the moment.
Not much really. Just coming on here watching Tottenham. No, it's always a pleasure to come on and what's the time now? 25 past midnight. So everybody who's still with us and still watching, thank you so much for listening to 4 guys talking about Tottenham. And if you don't already follow the channel and subscribe and like it and all that sort of stuff, please do so. Because Chris does a hell of a lot of good work for everyone out there. So, but it's always enjoyable coming on here talking about games, and even better when we have a win. Of course, if you really want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is @Dearman9. So, thank you very much, and I'll see you again all very soon.
Thank you, Craig. And Gary, an absolute pleasure having you back. It's been a long time.
It's been a while, actually, isn't it? You're just not getting me on the show. No, you have asked me a few times, and I have had 1 or 2 things
do you know
going
what?
on.
A few people, and I told Gary this off air as well, a few people actually stopped me and said, Gary's still part of the show. We really like Gary. Actually, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
No.
A few people have missed you.
No, I've missed them as well. It's been really frustrating because the last couple I just could not do, and I love doing this show, Chris. Listen, look, we met in lockdown really online, And then all three of us and stuff, and Ricky, you know, we met.
That sounds really dodgy.
Yeah, we met online. Plenty of Rickies. And then, you know, and then what I love about this, though, is when you think about it, it was lockdown. We've done these YouTube channels, and then we actually met at games, and then it's just escalated from that. It's been amazing. Yeah. I absolutely love it. And you know what, Chris, you are right, because the last couple of times I haven't been able to do the show, and I have missed it, and it's frustrating. And then I've like jumped back on and watched it afterwards. And when you're not part of it and you're not on it, you do miss it a little bit, you know? And what I love as well is when I'm not on your show, but I'm on social media and stuff like that. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and people are jumping in and they're messaging me, or when I'm at the ground and people recognize you. I love it. I think it's great because I talk Tottenham 24/7 anyway. I'm either in the gym talking about Tottenham, or I'm at home talking about Tottenham, or I'm at the stadium talking about Tottenham, or I'm on air. So for me, it does exactly what it says on the tin, and it's brilliant. So, but yeah, do not finish what you was going to say. It's probably best you don't. If you want to win that podcast thing.
I'm just going to say to people, just imagine 25 hours of Gary talking non-stop. That's what
I mean, I don't think they realise, Chris, on this show, I tone it down a bit and I go a lot more quieter and calm. They don't actually, do you know what I mean? You know, and that's what's even funnier.
The funny thing is, Gary, do you remember that game you went to at Milton Keynes last year?
The friendly, yeah, Wimbledon, or whatever, was it? Or Dons, yeah.
Yeah, you was in the back of Chris's car.
Yeah.
And you are so loud. I love you a bit, but you are so loud.
Very.
I was getting a headache. I couldn't hear the engine. Chris's engine in the car. It was great.
Listen, I'm number 23. I'm number 23 in this big house, and number 1 on this road have headaches because of me. This whole road hears me, especially when Tottenham are on.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to all three of you this evening. Brilliant. Thanks so much, Gary, Ricky, and Craig. And thanks so much for everybody's input this evening on today's show. And if you are watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and share, etc. And hopefully we will be back on Saturday to talk about another win. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Come on.